The Tucson Gem Show is notorious for theft. You got off the plane, you got in your rental car, you drove to your hotel, you took a nice dump, you're there to work, to break your back, to get the best deals you possibly can. This is a business trip.
But it's able to do business.
See? Everyone knows Max is cheap. Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. Today we're going to be diving deep into the Tucson Gem Show 2025. Now, whether you're coming to my warehouse to shop with us in a wholesale distribution setting, or you're going to be walking all of the gem shows, or you're doing both, or maybe you just want to stay at home and live stream the sale with us from our warehouse. Either way, there's a lot to talk about. This is one of the biggest gem shows that happens throughout the year, and so let's dive into it. As somebody who's been going out to Tucson for years now, I can tell you that accommodations and food are a big thing out there. Where can we eat? How can we eat? What do we do? You don't want to wind up with bed bugs, diarrhea. Oh my God, $18 for diarrhea? I've gotten diarrhea much cheaper. There are things that you can do to kind of make sure you stay in a really good place, or you don't eat food that's going to give you diarrhea for the course of your stay. Number one, just because something has good reviews in Tucson doesn't make it good. I know that's super crazy, but it's so true. Quite honestly, the best places you can really eat in Tucson are going to be near the universities. So stick to the universities, pack snacks, make your own sandwiches. Oh, you raided her fridge? Bring drinks with you. I mean, there's people charging $7 for a water at gem shows. Bring your own stuff with you unless you want to pay $7 for a water. Just paid $7 for a Gatorade, so this is not as bad as that. As far as accommodations go, typically for me, if I was going out for a 5-day trip, number one, I'm either looking to get myself into a decent Airbnb so that I can have access to a kitchen. I've personally had terrible experiences at Airbnbs out there, even to the point where we've left Airbnbs in the middle of a stay because it was haunted by poltergeist. To be safe, stick with well-known hotel chains like the Holiday Inn, the Days Inn, things like that. Or if you want to be fancy, you can go to the Catalina foothills or go to the foothills that are on the outskirts of Tucson and stay at more of a resort kind of place, which is what I would do, especially if you're going to be justifying this trip as a vacation. Let's be real, it's not a vacation. No one is going to vacation in Tucson, Arizona. And if you are, please give me some of the drugs that you're on. Not knocking Tucson, there's a lot of cool places to see, but at the same time, it's not a vacation. Don't justify spending $3,000, $4,000 on this trip as a vacation. If you're going out there, you need to budget yourself and you need to make sure that your budget makes sense. This is the number one mistake I see people making at gem shows. So let's plan a budget and break down expenses. He wants to sell us the booth. Let's just say that you have saved up over the course of a year $10,000. Let's just say that your trip expenses are going to be around $3,000, which includes plane, car, hotel, maybe some food expenses going in there.
We have crumble cookies.
So that brings our budget now down to $7,000. You should also take into consideration that shipping is probably going to be around 10 to 15%. $700 to $850 is what your $7,000 worth of stuff is most likely going to cost if you have to ship it back. If you're driving out there and you're driving back with your stuff, this is a much more reasonable and practical thing to do, in my opinion. Make sure you plan for this like the business trip that it actually is. You're budgeting yourself properly. You have enough money to spend on inventory because you really don't want to wind up spending $5,000 to go out there to buy $5,000 worth of inventory, which is what most people are doing. Now let's strategize. Let's pretend that we have 5 full days to be in Tucson. Not counting the day we fly in, not counting the day we leave. Let's say day 1 is Monday. Monday, we want to spend as much time getting a lay of the land. Dealers change every single year, so even if you've been going out to the show for the last 10 years, you still need to get a lay of the land. Dealers come and they go. I don't recommend making any purchases that day. I know it's really hard and impulse buying is a serious thing. Control yourself. You don't need that crystal turtle that bad yet. Day 2, you start to really track an inventory and say, okay, you know what? I know these are the dealers that I want to visit their booth, and I want to make sure that I get time there to actually shop well. How much is this piece? Day 2 should look like you really making strategic and smart purchases based off of things that you know you need. Again, remember, we only have $7,000 out of our $10,000 budget to deal with, so spend your money wisely. Day 3 rolls around. We need to look at our budget. We need to say, okay, yesterday we made the bulk of our purchase. We got a lot of the big buying out of the way. And it also tells me what I have left budget-wise. And you really want to spend your whole budget. So this way, when you're pricing your item, let's just say that you spend 50% on your budget out in Tucson, right? So if you bought an item that was $100, actually what you spent is So if you bought a $100 item, it actually costs you $200 after expenses. Really take into consideration if you're spending half of your money on expenses, then it doubles the price of your material when you go to sell it. And day 3 really should look like, okay, I have $3,000 left to my budget. I spent $4,000 the day before. Let me now go in the direction of trying to find some new and unique items that are affordably priced, which good luck with that because these gem shows are crazy expensive. If I could sell material at this kind of pricing, I could pay for like 2 kids to go to college. And I would spend that day 3 really looking around and trying to actually kind of finish my budget as much as I possibly can, because day 4, you need to consolidate everything, get it together, make sure that it's safely shipping. Unless you're driving it back, then again, I recommend that highly over shipping. But if you're going to ship your stuff back, you really almost need a full day to consolidate everything, make sure everything is packed well, make sure you inventory everything that's going on your pallet, because shipping companies out there are infamous for losing stuff, breaking stuff. Make sure you insure your pallets. Don't just go with the cheapest, quickest shipping. There's a lot of legwork to do with shipping your stuff, and day 4 should look like that. Once you got your pallets or your boxes or whatever you're shipping back set and done, you can kind of use day 5 to go shopping for little knickknacks, paddywhacks. You can give a dog a bone. You can go and visit some of the really cool attractions that Tucson has to offer, like Degrassi, Xavier Del Blanc Church out there. There's a bunch of museums out there. Maybe you want to go into the planetarium, which I've been there. It's okay. You can go hiking. You can drive up Mount Lemon. There's so many things to do out in Tucson that you might want to spend your 5th day just kind of like getting that vacation that you were talking about. And truly, not trying to self-promote, but you can bypass a lot of this headaches by just coming and shopping with someone like myself out there. I have my own warehouse out there. We'll be out there from January 29th to February 10th. Whatever you buy from us at our warehouse, if you're not taking it with you, we will pack it and we will ship it for you. We will handle it with care. I think that you can get a lot of what you might be looking for under one roof and save yourself a lot of time of walking around, haggling, negotiating, trying to figure out what to do. You probably will get to meet me and you can pick my brain, and I'll be out there to help you and strategize with you as much as I possibly can help you. Big secret, whatever you purchase during your time at the gem show, do not leave it at booths. Take it with you. There are so many problems that can happen from leaving your material at a booth. Take your stuff with you. Moving along, we want to find reputable dealers. Now, how do we verify the dealers that we're going to be doing business with out there? It's kind of simple, and there's a lot of things you can do. Number 1, maybe you know the people already, you've already verified people. Usually most gem shows have a list of the dealers that are going to be out at gem shows, so you might want to take a look at that first and do some research on some of these dealers and make sure that you're actually buying from people that are credible. We want to make sure that whatever material we're getting out there has ethical and fair trade practices behind the material, that it's not stolen material, that the person that we're buying from is not a complete psychopath, no child slave labor is involved in our material. These are all things which we really want to verify. Now, if you don't care about any of that and you're just like, listen, all I care about is money. I just want to save as much money and get the cheapest price I possibly can, you can just skip and fast forward this part of the video. Now, it's not unreasonable for you to ask a dealer to show you pictures of them in the mines. Most likely, one of the biggest narratives you're going to hear at the gem shows is that someone's family owns a mine, they own a mine. Please show me some pictures of you in the mines. Let me show you some examples. Also, pay attention to the details. I mean, if you run into a dealer and they're misidentifying material or they're lying to you about what material is, I mean, like 80% of this is just fake stone. Let's just say that you have someone with double terminated crystal points or Fenster quartz, and they're telling you that it's Herkimer diamonds. Be like, did you get this from Herkimer, New York? Because if you didn't get this from Herkimer, New York, it is not Herkimer diamond. Same thing with shungite. Tons of people selling carbon and coal out there, not shungite. Oh, you have Super 7 and Oralite 23? Bullshit. As soon as you see someone telling you they have Super 7, that person is full of, speaking of full of, now let's say you're like me and you're really smart, you get yourself a henchman and let your henchman walk around the show and find reputable dealers for you. And then once they identify and find reputable dealers, you go and visit yourself. Another red flag we should be looking for is really cheap material. Now, if that's what you're looking for, great, you can skip this part as well. But really cheap material that kind of doesn't make sense, it's almost head scratching. Like, how are you out here at the gem show where most likely your booth fees are anywhere between $12 to $50,000. How are you selling these items so cheap? The price of this should be a little bit higher. So be aware of that. That could potentially be stolen goods. People buy stuff for the gem shows, they get it on consignment, or they create deals with, I don't know, distributors or wholesalers who are not doing the shows. Hey, I'll go to the show and I'll sell your stuff, and then they just steal it. It happens all the time. So let's get to shipping. If you're going to be shipping what you purchased at the gem show back home, there's a couple of things I'd really like you to think about. Number one, do not leave material with dealers. Very commonly at night, people will come, swap out material, or high grade their own material, meaning that they sold you all this beautiful, beautiful stuff. They will take some of the best stuff out of what they sold you and replace it with not so great stuff. I know it's so crazy, and you might be like, that would never happen to me. It's never happened to me. Did you really pay close enough attention to know that? That's a question I just challenge you to ask yourself. So my suggestion is, when you buy something, make sure you're there when it's getting packed, wrapped, and you take it with you on the spot. Yeah, it might be a pain in the butt to take it back to your car, leave it in your car, or drive it back to the hotel or the Airbnb, but that is the smartest and most intelligent thing you can do. I would not trust gem show dealers to ship your stuff for you. I see a lot of people doing that, and they regret it in the end. If you know somebody for a really long time that you're friendly with, that you really, really trust, that you've done business with, they've verified and proven themselves, okay, maybe you can make exceptions there. But for the most part, you're going to need to find a shipping company, consolidate everything together, and make sure it gets back home safely. The gem show dealers are not going to pack your stuff to ship. And if they are packing it to ship, they really don't know what they're doing. You're going to wind up with broken stuff crazy. If things are going on pallets, that's a whole nother story. You can consolidate your stuff on pallets, make sure it gets wrapped in saran wrap, put a sticker on it, because the truth of the matter is you see a lot of people out at the gem shows going to shipping companies that are out there, like UPS will be set up at gem shows, or R&L, whatever. Some of these big shipping companies will be set up at the gem shows, and you can actually consolidate your stuff there, but it's just going to be a big open space in a room with everyone's pallets all over the place. And what's stopping someone from just taking a box off your pallet and putting it on their pallet? Most of the shipping companies out there, once you pay them, they don't care about your stuff anymore, whether it gets lost or broken or stolen, whatever happens, they don't care. They were paid for it. Doing COD out there is the smartest thing you can do, but you probably need to find somebody like myself who can broker that for you on the other side of it, meaning that you only pay for your shipment once it's on its way to your door. And that incentivizes the shipping companies to make sure you get your stuff. So COD is really, really where you want to be. Shipping at the post office, FedEx, UPS, during the gem show times is really risky. There's thousands and thousands of people shipping stuff. Packages and boxes get lost all the time, and you better believe that all of these companies, even if you insure your stuff, are going to tell you to go yourself. I hope that there was information in this video that was helpful, that you can use to some degree. If you're going to be out in Tucson and you want to come visit us, we'll be there from January 29th to February 10th. I'd love to meet you, take care of you. If you're concerned with pricing, our prices are going to be probably as good as anything you're going to find out there. And if it's a little bit higher, it's just because we're manufacturing ourselves fair trade. Very, very competitive. And I'm also going to be blowing out inventory out there. So if you're looking for cathedrals or big quartz clusters or things like that, geodes, I'm going to be blowing out material out there. So I promise you, you're not going to find better prices on big stuff out at the gem shows than you're going to find at my warehouse. Also, we'll be live streaming from January 29th to February 3rd. So if you're not coming out to the gem show, sit back and relax. I hope this video helped. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Please like the video. Please leave a comment below. I'm doing this for you guys, and I love you, and I'll see you in Tucson.